Great day, attractive thinker and visual encouragers from around the world. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your attractive thinker, identity coach, get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru, where we support new and aspiring entrepreneurs in writing your books and launching your business ideas so that you have the mental strength. We provide tools for mental strength, mental healing, and mindset maintenance because you're going to enter into some mental issues when it comes down to doing anything new. And we want to make sure that your dream goes from idea to manifestation. I want you to get ready because today is a fantastic and amazing day. And we have something so incredible to share with you today. Welcome, my co host, Tichet Bradshaw, to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance.
Happy Mindset Monday, everybody. We made it. We get to make it again and again. We get to do what we've never done, go where we've never gone, and have all that we deserve to have in this lifetime. It's a great day to be alive.
It is a fantastic and amazing day to be alive. And I know that you feel that attractive thinker and visual encourager. I trust that you have your attractive thinker notebook handy because you're going to want to capture these gems today. We're going to be talking about when you're down to nothing, perception is all you need. Why is that important? Because most of the time when we feel like we're down to nothing, we feel stuck, we feel lost, we feel immobile, we feel like we're between a rock and a hard place, or we don't have what we need to get unstuck or to move. When you feel like you're down to nothing, it's a devastating feeling. It's a feeling of loss. It's actually a feeling of loss because you feel like because you don't have nothing, when you're down to nothing, you feel like you don't have nothing. And if you don't have nothing, if you really believe that you don't have nothing, the thought of not being able to get out from that space can be overwhelming. The thought of not having something that you think you need to get out, because it's what we think we need that's going to get us out, is what's really causing the most pain. Because if you don't have it and you think that's what you need to get out, it creates this inner turmoil sometimes that can be unbearable. But today we're going to talk about when you're down to nothing, because most of the time when you're down to nothing, you're thinking that it's something tangible that you need that will get you unstuck, be it another person, money, an opportunity, a car, a shoe, a dress, a hat. If I could just get this coat, then that would make a difference. So if I could just get these shoes, then that would make a difference. And I don't mean coat and shoes to just walk around and be fashionable. I mean, if you don't have a coat and it's in the middle of the winter. I mean, if you don't have a pair of shoes, we all have to walk around outside and go and do things. If you don't have a pair of shoes, when you're down to nothing, perception is all you need. Tishet, talk to us today.
Absolutely. One of the things I was thinking about while you were talking is when you have the right perception, meaning you understand that there's more to life than what we see, and you're open to receiving that more to life that we speak of, you look at opportunities, right? You see opportunities because you are open-minded to receiving opportunities. How you perceive a thing is how you receive a thing, right?
Hmm.
So when you are open to the idea that there's more to life than face value, you're able to get a grasp of there's more out there. And you're able to actually see that manifest. So when you're down to nothing and you have nothing, but you have the idea that there's more, as long as you have that idea, it gives you an inkling of hope to be able to walk, right? It gives you that inch that you need in order to move forward. If you have nothing, you sometimes when you're down to nothing, you find everything because you find who you are without everything. When you're down to nothing, it shows you what's real and what's not. Our perception shapes our reality in so many different ways because again, how you perceive a thing is how you'll receive life. If you perceive life to be from the standpoint of victim, then you tend to receive life from a victim mentality, and you tend to always focus on problems. That's what's in your forefront. There's always problems when you see when you have a victim mentality based on a perception that bad things happen or it rains, it pours, or things like that. But when you have a victor mentality, based on the perception that no matter what, I can make it, no matter what, I win, no matter what happens, I always have me. I am a champion as long as I keep getting up, and as long as I breathe and I have an opportunity, as long as you have the perception of there's more to life than what you see, but there's also perception, you'll find yourself going out there and actually manifesting some visions, because you're making the vision, you're giving the vision a fighting chance when you understand that there's more to life. And then so with perception comes hope. With the proper perception comes hope, right? And sometimes that's all we need is a little bit of hope. A little bit of hope will go a long way, right? And so when we have a little bit of hope, it gives us the strength to be able to pull or push to go through, right? It gives us the strength to create something different. If you feel that life is bad and nothing's working out, and perhaps you might have lost everything, you have the opportunity to really shift your perception to understanding that as long as you have you, you didn't lose everything. As long as you have your life, the ability to breathe, you still have an opportunity, right? I remember Dr. Toni, you were saying nothing can stop you but a lack of breath, right? And so when we are going through life and we have a perception of a champion, we're not going to let somebody taking everything from us make us down and out. Yes, we might be down for the count at first, but we're going to get back up because we're champions. We know we won, right? And so for your life, you win. For your life, you win. And you have to have the perception of a winner in order for you to seek after what comes with being a winner. We all win in life if we have that right perception. So perception really is all we need, because when life is happening, and life is going to continue to happen no matter what, rather however you perceive life is going to continue to happen. Nobody is exempt from life. And life is not always just like bad things happening. Life is also good things happening, transitions happening, moves happening. Sometimes for some people, the break might happen. Sometimes birth might happen. There's so many things that happen to us throughout our existence. This is what we call life. It's a collective vision of what we think life, of what we perceive life to be. So when we look at the reality of life and you look at your perception, a lot of times they mirror each other. And so if you have a perception, and so if you have a certain perception, and let's say you have a perception that you're not a winner and something happens, you are going to look for the bad in it, and you're going to look for the not win in it, the loss in it. You're going to look for the loss, right? So when you look for the loss, you'll start seeing more and more of the loss, because what you focus on grows. But when you have the perception of a winner and life happens, you'll start to say, okay, well, what is this for? Why did I go through this? Like things like we say, if I have to go through it, it has to count. You'll start saying things like that. And so when you begin to have the right perception and shift your perception to understanding what life really is, and that's more than you can ever imagine. Life really is more than what you can ever imagine. But the reality that we have is based on our perception alone. So, and when you're down for the count and all you have is you left, and you're just standing there with just the perception that I'm a winner, that's it. Nothing else, nothing tangible, nothing else. You're just standing there with the perception that I can win. That is all you need to make the vision happen. because that perception alone helps you to win. That perception alone helps you go forward. So when we say um, perception is all you need, we mean that because that's all you need. That all you need is hope to go forth in the future. That's all you need. Back to you, Dr. Tony.
You know, Tishat, while you were talking, I was thinking about something. There are some prerequisites to getting the results that we want as attractive thinkers and visual encouragers. And when I say prerequisites, I mean in order for us to believe that when we're down to nothing, that perception is all we need, we have to understand why would I believe that perception is all that I need? We have to understand what perception is or the importance of perception. So some of the prerequisites, number one, when I mean prerequisites, we have to understand that our lives are built upon not the tangible things, but the intangible things. Meaning the intangible things have more value than the tangible things. So when you're down to nothing, in order for you to believe that perception is all you need, you first have to value perception. You first have to find value in belief and value in your thoughts and in your words. You have to give them value because we've given the external things more value in our lives, the things that we can see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. We've given them value. We trust more in them. We make decisions based on them. We'll move forward and run forward based on those five senses and ignore and not give a lot of weight to our intangible riches, our intangible treasure, like the power of belief, the wealth of thought, the richness of perception. If we understand and fully believe that perception is stronger than reality, then no matter what our reality looks like, if we can tap into our perception, we know that we're going to be okay. And not only okay, we're going to thrive, that we're going to get a result that's rewarding and not just an average basic result like, oh, I got through that, or oh, yeah, that worked out. No, I don't like living for things that just work out, because when I'm going through the process, I'm putting forth a lot of energy and effort and heart and time and experiencing some pain and challenges and disappointments and frustrations. Just coming out of that and living an average basic life as a result is not enough for me. It's not equivalent, it's not congruent, it's not commensurate with what I just experienced to get the result. So there's some prerequisites. One of the prerequisites that came to me to share, and while I was writing down prerequisites, you started saying things, and I said those are prerequisites. You said, Dr. Tony, you used to say that we could lose a lot of things in life, but if if we've lost ourselves, that's when we've lost everything. That's a prerequisite. If you don't know that, then you'll fall apart over losing a house. If you don't know that, you'll fall apart over losing a job, or losing some cash, losing some money, or losing an investment, or losing, a deal or an opportunity or an endorsement or a sponsorship. If you don't know that you're going to lose a lot of things, you can lose a lot of things in life, but as long as you don't lose you, you still have everything. It's just think about that. That just hit me differently. I could actually lose something and still have everything. You mean it's possible to lose some things and still have everything? See, those are the prior beliefs that need to be in place in order for us to believe that when we're down to nothing, perception is everything. Perception is all you need. Another prerequisite to share is, you said nothing can stop me but a lack of breath. Because I remember when we were recording years ago, when we first started recording, you asked me a question. You said, what makes a person unstoppable? And I said, as long as you're still breathing, you keep going. You're not stoppable. You're not this is not the end. You're not over. You're not done if you're still breathing. Breath is a sign of life. We all, that's the first thing a doctor looks for when a baby is born, the breath. When someone is sick, or if it's an accident or something, the first thing people, they don't go running up to the person, oh my God, did they break their leg or did they break their arm? No, are they still breathing? That's the first thing people want to know is, are they still breathing? Because as long
Mm-hmm.
as you're still breathing, there's still a possibility, there's still a chance. That's what Beyond the Break is, an opportunity for you to give yourself a fighting chance at getting the results that will cause you to thrive in life, at overcoming trauma. Give yourself a fighting chance to overcome trauma. If we give ourselves a fighting chance to shed, we don't know what our bodies are capable of overcoming. But the perception can block the progress.
Mm-hmm.
How we perceive the situation can shut down the solutions and the answers. The first prerequisite that I was writing down while you were talking was, you have to first believe that the physical body is limited. Your five senses are limited. What I mean by that is, because attractive thinkers and visual encouragers, we live in the beyond. We always see beyond what we're looking at. That's what the whole essence of this movement is all about. One of the prerequisites is you have to understand that you are in this physical body. It's limited. Your sight
Mm-hmm.
is limited. Do you know that when you go to the eye doctor, they say 20/20 vision, or they'll test your vision, see how far you can see and things like that? Do you know that if you weren't in that doctor's room and that wall with that chart on it was not in front of you, can you imagine how far you could really see? But your sight is limited. Now you can't see for forever, but in when you step into your vision, you can see for forever.
Mm-hmm.
Sight will allow you to only see but so far. So you can't rely on your sight when you're trying to overcome or get through or seek opportunity or results in something. You're looking for an answer. It's the same with hearing. Our hearing is limited. Animals can hear more than we can. We can't stand there and say, oh, I don't hear anything, or I don't hear a siren coming, and just think that because you don't hear it that it's not coming. Your hearing is limited. I remember, Tishet, I was in my room, I was laying in the bed, and my dog knows he does not get on my bed. My bed is off limits to my dog. And this time I'm laying in the bed, my door was open, and he came through the door, and he didn't run or go crazy or anything. He came slowly. He climbed up on my bed. I had some papers and books that I was reading and working on. He walked all across that, walked across the head of my bed, and went down behind the headboard. I knew something was wrong. I said, what is wrong? I said, oh my God, you don't get on my bed. What is going on? Before I could respond to him, I had said these things. Before I could get to him, the house started moving. The dog could sense the earthquake before I could hear it, and before I could feel it. Just because I couldn't hear it and I couldn't feel it didn't mean that he couldn't. Didn't mean that it wasn't happening. His senses were beyond mine.
Mm-hmm.
His senses to perceive that something was going on was beyond mine. And I'm saying that to say this, that there is something happening beyond what you can sense. And if you believe that prerequisite, no matter what you face in life, that one piece right there can help you recover. That one piece right there could be the difference between you giving up and you holding on. That one piece right there is the difference between you thinking you're down for the count and being open to an opportunity. Now, another thing that I wrote down, to Shet, is once you understand these prerequisites and you believe them, you instill them in your belief system, and you understand that no matter what you go through in life, because I mean, okay, think about it. We all have gone through things in our lives: disappointments, frustrations, trauma, pain, heartbreak, excitement. joy, peace, love, adventure. We've all experienced the grief, loss. We've experienced these things. And you're still sitting here listening to this message. And you're still breathing. And life continued on. And you continued on. So we've experienced the emotional spectrum of life. And we're still here. We survived it. That means that there was something on the other side of our experiences that we may not have encountered before. But it didn't mean that it wasn't there. It didn't mean that this life that we're living right now was not available to us. It wasn't here. It's just that we couldn't perceive it. When you're going through something, sometimes your mind won't allow you to think outside of what you're going through, and you can't see your way out. You can't perceive your way out. But if you have these prerequisites in place, it's a knowing. It's a knowing that what I'm experiencing right now, there's something else beyond what I can perceive. So I can't make decisions on what I'm perceiving because I can count myself out instead of giving myself a fighting chance. These are the prerequisites that need to be in place. And when you shift from what you know, when you shift from what you know into understanding that there is more in life and about life that you don't know, you actually open yourself up to receiving an answer that you never considered.
Yeah.
You open yourself up to other open doors than the closed ones that you can sense. I can see that that door is closed, door C is closed, door B is closed. There was only 5 doors, A, B, C, D, and E are closed. I can see that. And if I could shift my perception off of these closed doors, then I can open myself up to, although I may not see it, there is an open door somewhere. Although I may not sense it, although I may not hear it, although I may not, have experienced it, there is an open door somewhere. And that right there is enough hope to keep, you hear the phrase keep hope alive. That's enough hope to keep you alive. It's
Mm-hmm.
enough hope to keep you holding on. It's enough hope to give the answer time to get to you so that you can have the key to get out, so that you can have the answer to move on. Because when you're really down to nothing, perception is really all that you need. Back to you, Tichet.
Absolutely. I want to talk about the census for a second. I want to double back on that. How do you perceive life? Like, how do you add up to equal what your perception is? What makes up your perception?
Mm,
Like, do you just see what happens and say, okay, my mother did this, so I guess this equals to that? Do you go by past, present, future? Like, what makes up your vision? What makes up your perception, right? And I wanted to talk about the senses because a lot of times we have a perception based on what we see also. I remember saying to you years ago about people mindlessly going through life, meaning they're not thinking, they're just taking, rolling with the punches and just taking life as it comes. So they're not like thinking about anything, they're not taking preventative measures, they're not doing anything they don't have a knack for the future, right? And so people, when they mindlessly go through life, tend to always get caught off guard because they're
mhm,
always finding themselves in the middle of a mess because they never perceive what adds up to that mess. When you are living multisensory, and we talked about multisensory before, that's just, when you have your taste, touch, sight, hearing, and smell, along with your intuition, your clarity, your meaning, your purpose, and your power. When you are living life multisensory, meaning you take the value of what's happening outside and the value of what's happening inside, you put it together to come up with a certain perspective, but you allow your intuition to overwrite what's going on externally. So sometimes, for instance, you can have somebody in your space, right? And that person in your space is telling you all the things you want to hear. Oh, you're beautiful, you're nice, I really like you. But your intuition is like, I sense a deception.
mm,
Which one do you go go to? Or do you normally go to, maybe I'm wrong about the person? Or do you go to, oh no, my intuition has never led me wrong. I don't care what they saying, it's done. Now there's a lot of people that mindlessly go through life and they just take the people for their word.
Mm-hmm.
Even if their word never meant anything before, they'll take, because some people are not a person of their word, right? And they'll take them at their word because it's what's being thrown at you at the moment. And if you're not thinking about repetitive stuff, where you see what the consistency is coming up. This person says something, then doesn't do it. They say something, then don't do it. They say something, then don't do it. What would, if you're mindlessly going through life, you're not taking any of that in account. And
Mm-hmm.
so you end up listening to that word and you taking, you like, oh, thank you, and you take it in and thank you, and you perceive it as if they really have your back. But when you live in life with intuition and clarity, you're looking at, I call it credit, right? You know how we have financial credit? I
Mm-hmm.
have relationship credit, people credit, all kinds of stuff. You can put, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So I look at the person's credit, their history of how they do things. So you might say, if that person is used to not keeping their word, what makes you think they're keeping their word now? When you're dealing with somebody and with every interaction their credit goes down, every time a lie is detected, you start to put it together and say, okay, this person is capable of lying, right? You see the capabilities of the person based on how they do it. And if they do it a certain amount of time, you begin to have the perception that that's who they are,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when they start to tell you all the things you want to hear, it's hard for you to believe them because you perceive them as a liar. Here's the thing. When it comes to perception, and I say how you perceive a thing is how you perceive a thing. When it comes to perception in relationships,
Mm-hmm.
how you perceive that person is how you perceive that person. So you have to have an understanding of yourself so that you don't get offended every time somebody calls you something other than what you intended to be. So for instance, if somebody think you're malicious and you know you're not malicious, if they think that you're malicious, they're going to perceive everything you say as malicious. Meaning you could be saying all the right things with the right tone and the right energy, and they will still find a way to make it malicious. But you have to be careful because you don't want another person's perception of you to become your perception of yourself. You want to make sure your perception of you is based on you. You want it based on who you are, not what everybody, not your perception being based on what everybody said you are, and not your perception being based on everything that happened to you. Your perception of you is based on who you are as a whole, who you are when you're upset, who you are when you're happy, who you are when you're mad, who you are when you're at peace. Who are you as a whole, right? And you build a perception. Who are you with this vision? And you build a perception. So when we're dealing with reality, we're answering reality with perception. Some of us might have a limited perception, a perception of limitation, a perception of victim mentality. And so every time anything happens, we go straight to victim. We go straight to blaming everything else. We go straight to woe is me. We go straight to the habit of victim. When some people who are champions go to the habit of victor. Again, like I said earlier, you're not going to knock me down. Like you said earlier, just because you lost a house, you're not knocked down just for losing a home, right? And it's not to say that you don't have feelings, it's to say that your perception of you does not limit you to tangible things. Your perception of you does not limit you to what you see out of your five senses. You understand that there's five senses and there's something happening in the background too. I've talked to you, Dr. Toni, about the clockwork this morning, where we talked about how I like those watches that have the inner workings where you can see it. They have like a glass case on it. And so you can see all of the little screws and things like that. And I told you, people have been getting really creative with how they do these watches. They've been blinging out some of the little the gadgets and stuff that's in there. And so what happens is it brings what's inside on the outside. It brings that to the forefront. That so much so that you don't focus on the numbers first. You see the inside first, right? And so when you see the inside first, it gives you a full vision of what the clock is instead of just numbers and hands, just the time. It gives you how it works, the energy of the workings of the clock. And so life is similar, right? We understand that there's more to life than just the numbers and the hands on the clock. There's the things that make it go around. There's the things that interact with each other that help. So when you have a perception of the whole life as a whole, you're not judging your life based on what happened to you. You're understanding that whatever happened to you happened for you, because whatever's going on in the background is going to be exposed in the midst of whatever it is that's happening. When life happens, you are going to understand that the background and the forefront is part of the equation. And if you're just taking life at face value, you're missing half the picture. There's a whole picture here. Always. There's always two sides to every story. There's always polar opposite whenever any moment is presented. There's always another story that's presented whenever something happens. So, and Dr. Toni, this is where you get, it's not what you're going through, but how you're viewing it, because there's always two different sides to every story. But if you're mindlessly going through life, you're not seeing any other story. And if you're stubborn, you're not interested in seeing any other story. You're determined to have it that way. I've seen some people who were stuck in their way, and they have to have the same thing the same way. It can't be anything different. If anything different is offered, they get, anxious. And I'm compassionate about that because I understand that. But at the same time, you think, okay, if life has to be limited to just what I think and what I know and the way I think it should be, then how limited is my life going to be? How limited will your life be when you're only limiting to what you have seen, what you have heard, and what you have experienced, right? And so when you're open to new perceptions and raising your perception, you're open to different opportunities, different stories. You're open to different ideas. Every conversation is a transformation of energy, thoughts, and ideas, right? Every conversation, you are transferring the thoughts, you're transferring the words, you're transferring the ideas, but each of them come with an energy. It's how we determine whether what you're saying is good to us or not. Because if I talk to you and I have an energy of negativity, it doesn't matter what nights I could be saying I love you with a negative energy, and you're going to take it as so, especially if you receive me as malicious. And so we have to take everything into consideration. When we say the word everything, Dr. Toni, we're talking about everything of value. We're talking about, when we say when you're down to nothing, we're talking about tangible. When we're talking about everything, we're talking about intangible, right? And we're also talking about the opportunities. We're talking about the intuition. We're talking about the ability to stand up, the ability to go, the hope, the joy, the wisdom, the clarity. We're talking about everything of value that you need in order for you to build. And as long as you have a perception of growth and a perception of, I can do more, I can win, champion, you'll always have opportunities staring you in your face. Opportunities will come and go. But as long as you have the perception of winning, you'll take advantage of those opportunities and understand there's no missed opportunity. And you'll just be ready for the next opportunity. So that's why we say when you're down to nothing, perception is everything. That really is all you need. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
Incredible, Tichet. Incredible. And you're right. When you're down to nothing, perception is all you need. I have some perception prerequisites that I want attractive thinkers and visual encouragers to take note of in your attractive thinker notebook. The first perception prerequisite is this, meaning these are the beliefs that you must have in order for your perception to give you the answers that you're looking for. When I say in order for your perception to give you the answers that you're looking for, meaning you can shift your perception to create new realities, new experiences, new outcomes. But if you don't believe that perception is a real thing, if perception works, if perception has power, if perception is power, or if perception works, then you're not going to tap into perception shifting. So there's some prerequisites that have to be in place before you establish or rely on perception shifting. The first one we talked about it, nothing can stop you but a lack of breath. So if you're still breathing, you give yourself a fighting chance and you shift your perception from the one that you're thinking, from the one that you're believing, so that you can get a different outcome. Perception prerequisite number two: as long as you have you have everything. We can lose a lot of things in life, but if you haven't lost yourself, you have everything. Okay? That has to be, you have to meditate on these beliefs, write them down several times, say them out loud to yourself until they become your core beliefs, that as long as I have me, I have everything that I need. And you say that until you believe it, until you empower yourself. And when you empower yourself, nothing on the outside can stop you from reaching your goal, be it an entrepreneurial goal, a personal life goal, whatever it might be. Perception prerequisite number three: there is more to life than you can perceive with your five senses. So just because you can't see it, hear it, or touch it, doesn't mean that it's not possible for you, or does it mean that it does not exist. And why is that important for you to know? So that you don't allow your limited five senses to limit you, to limit your outcome. You can't put your whole heart and trust in these five senses. They can only pick up but so much. They can only detect so much. And if you base life decisions on something that's limited, your limited hearing that can only detect a certain level of hearing, or limited vision that can only see but so far, you're missing out on worlds of opportunities. Because your vision can support you in seeing the unimaginable. So that's why perception, these prerequisites are important. The number four, the perception prerequisite would be understanding that no matter what you encounter in this life, your worth is untouched. Your value is never decreased. Because, and I say that because a lot of times in my life, and I listen to my clients, I listen to family and friends, I listen to people share their testimonies on and offline. When we're going through something, that's the first place we go, is our worth.
Mm-hmm.
We devalue ourselves. I'm not good enough. That happened because I'm not worthy anyway. That happened because I'm not good enough anyway. That happened because joy is not for me. That happened because I was extending myself outside of my realm of possibilities, and I shouldn't have been trying to reach this goal anyway. I should have just stayed where I was. Success is not for me. That's the first place we go, is devaluing ourselves, our worth. So the perception prerequisite would be understanding that no matter what I go through in this life, my worth is not touched. I'm still worthy. I'm still valuable. I'm still good enough. I'm still deserving. It didn't touch any of those core treasures that make up me. The next thing I would like to share with the attractive thinkers and visual encouragers is some perception alternatives. Because a lot of times, Tichet, it can be easy not to know how to shift your perception, especially when you're in the heart of an experience. Your thoughts are running rampant, your emotions are all over the place, and you can't complete a thought. If you shift your perception from perceiving your experience this way, the next perception could be worse than the one you're already perceiving. So, what about these perception shifts? What if you win? What if you don't lose? What if you actually win? What if you're right? What if that situation happened not because you were wrong, but because you were right? What if things are working for you and not against you? Because one of our first perceptions is life is working against me. People are working against me. Things are working against me. The universe and God is working against me. What if it's working for you? What if it wasn't your fault? What if it was really nothing that you could have done to change the situation? Would that lighten your load? Would that make things seem a little bit easier? Would it lift the weight? Would things feel more bearable now? Because I'm telling you, Tachet, I don't believe personally that there's any weight that is more heavier than the beat down that I can give myself
Mm,
over
mm,
life's circumstances and experiences. I don't think that anybody could cause me any more pain than I can inflict upon myself with my own thoughts of my worthiness or deservedness or my quality of the quality of who I am as a person. When I begin to perceive or self internalize my external circumstances, we're not even supposed to do that. These circumstances are external, but we are using them to determine our internal value. Just because you're going through something doesn't mean you're unworthy. Just because you're going through something doesn't mean you don't deserve better. We have to have these perception prerequisites in place in order for us to get through our current circumstances and in order to get through life. What if there's nothing wrong with you? You know, that's another one we do. There must be something wrong with me. There has to be something wrong with me that I can't get ahead in life or that I can't reach my goals. What if you'll recover and not just recover, but be greater? What if you're not going to come out of this and just for the sake of coming out? I don't ever want to go through something and just come out just to come out, just for that to be over. No, I want to come out greater than I was when I was in it. I need to have something to show for what I just came through. What if you're misunderstood because you're not average like everybody else around you? What if you're misunderstood not because something's wrong with you or you're a bad person? What if you're being misunderstood because you're around people that aren't don't have that same level of consciousness or standard or moral or value or hope, aspiration, expectation that you do? Maybe you're misunderstood because your expectations are far greater than the people around you. Maybe they can't see that far and they're always misunderstanding your vision and how far you can see. What if it will happen despite the opposition because you're the one that's doing it? And I say that because sometimes you can look at the success or lack of success in others and think that if they tried it and it didn't work, then it's not going to work for you either when you try. But what if that has nothing to do with your success? What if it's going to work because you're working it? What if it didn't work out for them because you weren't the one doing it? Let me give you an example. Have you ever tried to had someone in front of you and they're trying to open up a door with a key and it wouldn't work? And you took the same key. You didn't, they exhausted their efforts. You took the same key. You didn't go get another key. You took the same key and it opened the door. Maybe that door wasn't meant to open for them, it was meant to open for you. So you can't look at what's going on or not going on in somebody else's life. It will happen because you put your hand to it. You're the answer. What if you're the answer to this thing that you're trying to accomplish? And because you don't know you're the answer, you keep passing it on to somebody else to do it. What if it's never going to work until you put your hand to it? See, these are perception shifts, attractive thinker, that will free you up to keep the momentum moving in your life so that you give yourself a fighting chance, so that you accomplish the goal, so that you don't give up, so that you don't devalue yourself just because you're going through something. What if the worst of it is over?
Mm-hmm.
Many times,
Mm-hmm.
Tichette, we keep expecting the worst. What if the worst of it is over? I remember going through contractions, and the thing that gave me hope was I kept hearing the doctor say, it's not going to get any worse than this. When he would look at my contractions on the monitor and he saw the levels going up and they were peaking and he saw them come down and he said, okay, Miss Hatton, you're right there. Okay, I know it hurts right here, but it's not going to get any worse than this. What if all you needed was somebody to tell you that it's not going to get any worse than this? From here going forward, it's just going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's just going to get better for you, attractive thinker, visual encourager? Wherever you are around the world and you're listening to this message, I want you to listen to it again and review your notes. And then I want you to say these perception shifts to yourself. Because when you begin to say them to yourself, you're going to feel the weight lift. You're going to feel things shift on the inside. You're going to experience new ideas coming to you. Your creativity is going to open up and your heart will sing again. Is it possible for your heart to sing with tears coming down your face? Yeah. Yeah. I've done it. It is possible because the outside circumstances don't have anything to do with the hope and the joy that you house inside. So many times, Tichette, in my life, with tears streaming down my face, I had to look myself in the mirror and I could see the image of myself right now. Can you imagine an image of a person with tears? Their whole face is wet with tears, but they have a smile on their face. That's a powerful person. That's a force to be reckoned with. That's somebody that you don't mess with, somebody you don't play with because they know something that most people don't. And that's the type of person who has overcome things that have destroyed others. See, what we share here on Beyond the Break, Give Yourself a Fighting Chance, is real resources to do just that. Give yourself a fighting chance. You don't know everything. You don't know what tomorrow holds. You don't know what the next minute holds. Give yourself a fighting chance. What if you don't relapse? What if you don't go back? What if you don't fail? What if you don't lose? What if you win? What if you conquer it? So much so that generations coming after you won't even know that it existed. They won't even know that part of you. They won't even know that story. They get, because you shifted your perception, you cleared the way for them to come through without that opposition and that fight and that struggle. Because when you're down to nothing, perception really is all you need. Tisha, tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, the visual encourager, and give us some last minute thoughts because I know your wheels are spinning over there.
I'm definitely thinking that we need to rewatch this and really write down and ponder those what
Mm,
ifs, because that what if is possible. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and tell everybody who is watching us in this moment that this is not coincidental.
mhm,
Everything will get better. Everything is going to get better from here,
mhm,
and you've made it through. You've already made it through. You made it through the last moment. You made it through the pain.
mm,
Everything will get better. Are you bold enough to believe that? Are
mm,
you bold enough to step out
mhm,
and allow yourself to see the vision come to pass? Are
mhm,
you bold enough to take those what ifs and shift your perception and allow yourself to have a newness of life, a new journey of life? Your vision is always there, and you've been pregnant for a while. Are you bold enough to sit there with those perception shifts
Mhm.
and allow yourself to give birth with peace?
Mm. Mhm.
Because you deserve this time. You deserve this change. You deserve, we took on these physical bodies, right? When we take on these physical bodies, it was for the purpose of experiencing.
Mm.
We already experienced some stuff in the spirit, but we needed a vehicle with tools that allow us to feel, taste, touch, and see the creative, right? And so if you are in this physical body and you still have breath, then you owe it to yourself to allow it to experience the full potential for the reason why you came in here. Experience your full potential. And so I advise everyone to re-watch this, listen to those what ifs, write them down, get them in your spirit. And when life happens, go to those notes. Go get that in your spirit. Have those what ifs come up. Because
Mhm.
when we sit there and we put our worth on the table, take the worth off the table
Yeah.
and start looking at those perception shifts and say, but what if I do win? What if I
Mhm.
do make it? You
Mm.
know, and go through all of them. Those were so powerful, Dr. Toni.
Mm.
Thank you for sharing that. We really appreciate that. You
Mhm.
can find me on my website at www.visualencouragement.com. We provide mental support for movers and shakers, for trailblazers, pathfinders, and groundbreakers. All you visionaries who desire to move mountains but need help lifting the heaviness so that you can create a new vision for yourself. Go to my contact us page, put in your information. Let me know how I can uplift you, enlighten you, and encourage you so that you can live a life of fulfillment beyond the break, the one that you deserve. Again, my website is www.visualencouragement.com. See you soon.
Awesome. Attractive thinkers, I meant to tell you, I want you to turn to page 344. I believe it's entitled The Proper Perspective of Fear. I want you to read that in your Attractive Thinker book that you got on Amazon. If you have not already purchased your copy, go to Amazon and get your copy. Turn to page 344 to accompany this message that you just heard today. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. You always hear us say, our life's work, that's to make your life better. Remember, it is not what you're going through, it's how you view it. Think attractively, and we'll see you soon.